So guys, what to do about Dolby Atmos? Hey everyone, Percy here. Welcome to Super C Music Talks. So, about Dolby Atmos, what to do? Do you spend thousands or maybe tens of thousands of euros or dollars upgrading your studio, trying to stay ahead of the game? Or do you ignore it completely, keep making stereo mixes, hoping it will all blow over? Now, this might be a little bit disappointing disclaimer, but in this video, I'm not gonna give you a definite answer on that. I also don't really feel qualified to do so. But what I will do is I will tell you what I will or will not do regarding Dolby Atmos. And who knows, you might be inspired by that. Now, first of all, real quickly, for those of you that don't know, what is Dolby Atmos? Now, Dolby Atmos is a kind of surround sound technology that can create the illusion of you being in some kind of space with sounds coming from any direction. So from the left, from the right, from behind, above, anywhere, and that should give you a so-called immersive experience, like you're actually in the middle of the action. Now, we've already been experiencing a very heavy push from within the music industry to implement Dolby Atmos in music production. So we're seeing it being pushed in adverts, we're seeing it everywhere on music trade shows like NAMM or Muziekmesse. It's everywhere. Also, we're already seeing some music streaming platforms offering Dolby Atmos versions of some songs. So for example, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Tidal, and I'm probably forgetting a few of them. There's even talk of that in the not so distant future, some of these music streaming platforms will start requiring you to submit Dolby Atmos mixes. So that would mean that you wouldn't be allowed on these platforms with only stereo mixes. Now, of course, this puts a lot of pressure on producers and mastering engineers because many of them think that if they want to keep up with this development, they need to upgrade their studio. And in many cases, this can be a very, very costly endeavor. And the concern is also that home studio owners, so bedroom producers, will not be able to keep up at all. Now, let me tell you what I think of this development. Well, I think it's nonsense. I think it's nonsensical. I just don't think that this technology will add much value to music production and the end product. And in my opinion, it certainly doesn't justify putting producers under pressure like that to spend this much money just to keep up with this. It makes sense for movies, especially if you're in a movie theater, of course, because, the whole idea of movies is to create a kind of fantasy world and to play out that fantasy. And we kind of want that experience to be as real as possible. So for example, if on the movie screen you see a monster coming from the right, it would help sell that illusion if there would also be a sound coming from the right. So that makes sense. But music is different. Music isn't about trying to make something seem real. I mean, music by nature is abstract, so there's nothing real about it in that sense. And music, in my opinion, is about other things. It's about melodies, it's about chord progressions, emotions, it's about those kind of things. Who cares if some instrument all of a sudden seems to be coming from the left? Sure, it might be kinda interesting at first, but I just don't believe that it will fundamentally change the experience of music. So again, I think it's a little bit nonsensical, it's nonsense, and I'm not trying to accuse anyone, but I much sooner believe that there are a few people trying to make a lot of money off of this, much rather than that I believe that there are a few people pressuring us into implementing this just to make the listening experience arguably just a little bit better. I just don't buy it. So what am I gonna do about it? Well, I'm gonna try mixing in Dolby Atmos. Okay, let me explain. So, Studio One used to be my main DAW for quite a few years until last year I switched to Bitwig. So I've been using Bitwig for about a year now, and I never really gotten into it just like I did with, for example, Studio One. Now, recently, not too long ago, I had to go back to Studio One because I wanted to work on some songs that I had recorded in Studio One, and almost from the moment that I opened the program, it really felt like coming home. The workflow of Studio One, I'm not saying it's better than that of Bitwig, not by definition, but it's better for me and the way I like to work. And also the structure of the program just appeals to me more than that of Bitwig. So I was already thinking like, okay, should I go back to Studio One or not? And then a few weeks ago, Studio One 6.5 was released, and Studio One 6.5 just happens to have Dolby Atmos integration. And to be perfectly honest, that kind of pushed me over the edge and I finally upgraded to Studio One 6. But the point is, I already kind of wanted to go back to Studio One. I also got a pretty good deal. And then on top of that, it also came with Dolby Atmos integration. So it wasn't the number one reason, but it did help make that decision for me. And to be fair, it was a very good and very affordable opportunity for me to get into the Dolby Atmos ecosystem. Now, of course, you could say, Percy, what are you doing? I mean, you're saying that you think that Dolby Atmos in music production is nonsense, but then you go invest in it, and with that, you kind of also contribute to the possible implementation of it. Well, that's kind of true. There are still some people out there that just say, no, not for me, I'm not converting to Dolby Atmos, and I won't be pressured into it. Well, all respect to you. I made a different decision. Especially also because that decision was so easy for me to make. So I will be experimenting with Dolby Atmos. Also because even though I personally think that implementing Dolby Atmos in music production doesn't make a lot of sense, certainly not on this scale, my eyes are still wide open to reality. And of course, we still don't know what will happen. Who knows? It might turn out to be an epic failure, and in 1 year's time, we will have completely forgotten about Dolby Atmos. But I think that there might be an even greater chance that it will succeed and Dolby Atmos will be here to stay. Now, we've already been seeing it being implemented left and right. Already some DAWs with Dolby Atmos integration. Studio One we've talked about. Logic Pro was even earlier. Now, as a Bitwig user, I know that Bitwig does not have Dolby Atmos integration, or at least not yet, but then you can use an app for that. I know of at least one audio interface that has Dolby Atmos integration, and so on and so on. So it definitely seems to be coming, and again, we don't know what the future will bring, but this way, hopefully at least I won't be completely taken by surprise if and when it really takes off. So, let me know what you guys think. Can we already say that Dolby Atmos is here to stay? Is it good to be prepared for Dolby Atmos, or should we still kind of ignore it? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Take care.